All right.
There we go.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. So it's great. I really appreciate this opportunity. What I'm going to do is share my screen and bring up PowerPoint. I hope we can all see that.
Yep.
Great. I'll start it from the beginning. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tuck these beautiful faces down into the corner here and get started. So what we're going to be talking about today is an introduction to the Maxwell DISC method of personality indicators, and more importantly, the DISC sales impact report. Now, the benefit of doing this, there are three reasons why I really enjoy and get excited about this particular PowerPoint, especially after you complete the assessment, because the three things it will do, it will, number one, it will teach you to understand your selling style. And you're going to learn new things about yourself. And I'll explain as we go through the PowerPoint how that happens. You'll also understand, more importantly, your buyer's buying style. You see, people have different personalities and they think, do, and buy uniquely based on those personalities. So this is the key that can unlock that door where you can better connect with your buyer. And with these two pieces, here's the third benefit. With these two pieces of information, you're going to be able to consistently sell more. You're going to sell more efficiently and effectively, and you will get more sales. So let's go ahead and get started. Just kind of curious, have you ever experienced a time when you were talking to a prospect, a client, a coworker, or even a family member, and you felt like you just weren't connecting with that person? It was as if you were speaking another language. And in some ways, you really are. You see, back in the 1920s, an American psychologist named William Martinson developed a theory to explain people's emotional responses and how better to connect with people based on these four personality styles. This was called the DISC method. It was one of the earliest formulated for the primary purpose of understanding normal human behavior and personalities. Now, there's about 1,500 of these things out here right now. I think maybe one of the more popular ones is Myers-Briggs. Maybe some of you here in the meeting have even taken a personality behavior assessment. But see, with DISC, using the framework of DISC, we can begin to identify some of these personality patterns, and then we know what to expect. And if we know what to expect, we can use the right strategy to bring our best to our relationships, whether they're business or personal. So let me help you better understand these four DISC quadrants. Okay? So prior to COVID, I used to do a lot of traveling. And there was two things I saw a lot of because I stayed at hotels. One were elevators, and the other were people on vacation. So let's look at the elevator. Let's say you are at the elevator, and as the doors begin to open, you are just super excited and very curious to see who is on the other side of these doors. And the minute you walk into the elevator, you say a hearty hello to everyone. And as you press the button for your floor, you start to begin to ask them questions. How is their day going? Why are they here? Where are they going? Maybe you make some jokes about the weather. If this sounds like you possess more of the D, which is dominant, and I, which is influencing type of personality. You are more outgoing. D's and I's are more outgoing. They don't mind the people in the elevator, right? So let's go back to the elevator, same elevator, but this time as the doors secretly open, you're hoping that no one else is in that elevator. You don't want to go through that awkward time where you walk into the elevator and try to figure out if people want to talk to you. So you press the button for your floor you want, and then you look at the button panel, and you look at your shoes, and you look at the door, and you look at the floor. You even look at the numbers as they're changing, and you're just wishing the elevator would pick up speed. Just go a little faster so you can make your quiet exit. If this sounds like you, then you possess more of the C, which is compliant, or S, which is steady personality. C's and S's are more reserved. They are hoping the elevator is empty. But in the event that the elevator isn't empty, S's, they'll be nice. They'll say hello. But that's about as far as it goes. So here we have D's and I's, more outgoing, S's and C's, more reserved. Now let's talk about vacation. You're planning a vacation and you're focused on what needs to get done in order to go. You got to mow the lawn, take the dog to the kennel, take your car into service. Maybe you're lining up work that has to be done while you're out, or you're making sure that your hotel has Wi-Fi so you can stay connected and answer emails. If this personality sounds like you, then you have more of the D and C personality. D's and C's focus first on getting things done, then they think about the people. D's and C's, when they're making lists for vacation, it all has to do with tasks that need to be completed. Okay. Still on vacation mode again, but this time you're focused on who else is going. You're caught up in thinking about who you will see when you get there and all the fun experiences you're going to enjoy. That sounds like you? Then you have more of the IS personality. When it comes to completing tasks, I's and S's focus on people first, and then on getting things done, if there's actually time to get things done. Their vacation planning consists of a list of names or experiences they want to have while they're there. They're totally disconnected with any task, any work-related task, okay? So, real quick, D's and I's outgoing, S and C's reserved. D's and C's more task-oriented, I's and S's more people-oriented. Now let's take a look at these different personalities and what make up these personalities. And this is where you need to be able to start identifying the personalities so you can better connect with them. Okay, so we'll start with the D's. D's make up 3% of the population. D's, they focus on results, so much so that they're always working towards something. And they're very proficient at multitasking. They're driven by authority and easily try to take control. I worked for a high D. Sometimes I'd go in his office around lunchtime and say, hey, Steve, man, you want to go out and grab a sandwich? He says, sure, let's go get some lunch. I'm driving. And one day I said, well, Steve, your car's in the shop. He says, that's all right. We'll take your car, but I'm still driving. That's how you know you're working with a D. Also, D's embrace change and help them get results. They're not afraid of change, and they're comfortable in responding to direct confrontation. D's treasure loyalty. They like to work with people who are loyal, and the greatest fear of a D is being taken advantage of. So that's the D personality. Let's go to the I personality. I's make up 11% of the population, and I'm part of this 11%. I seek a fun, friendly environment and are always active. They are relationship oriented. They're emotional. I cried like a baby when I was watching Lion King with my grandkids and Mustafa died. I mean, that's just the way we are. We're very animated. We're great storytellers. I just told you 2 stories. They're encouragers. If you're having a bad day, find an I. Hey, if you guys are having a bad day, give me a call. Well, I's will lift you up, man. They're a lot of fun to be around, and they do treasure great experiences with others. The I's greatest fear is rejection or loss of approval. Right? Now let's go to the S's. S's make up 69% of the population. S's, they seek a team environment, and they are also very loyal. They are easygoing and agreeable. They're evenly paced. They're good listeners. They're compassionate. They like peaceful relationships. They're not much for change. And unlike the D, who's comfortable in dealing with confrontation, S's want to avoid it at all costs, right? My assistant is an S. Whenever there has to be a tough conversation, when it's work related, he'll come in and ask me to do it. If it's personally related, he'll ask his fiance to do it. He just doesn't like confrontation, right? S's are considered to be like the worker bees. You know, they really they're team players. They like to get work done, and they like with S's. You know, they like to follow instruction. So having a complete list of instruction of duties, that's great for the S. And then the last is the C. C's make up 17% of the population. If we have any C's watching this webinar now, they probably already figured out that they were 17% because they were doing the math as we were identifying the percentage of each personality. C's seek an environment that honors logic and facts. They're very compliant, conscientious, very accurate, very detail-oriented. They treasure perfection. We've all heard the phrase paralysis by analysis. Your C's could fall into that category because they continue to keep researching, keep digging, keep finding things out, right? The C's greatest fear is criticism. Okay? So how do we increase sales with customers? Well, you recognize your customer's buying style based on their personality style. Once you've taken the time to understand how your buyer makes buying decisions, you're going to be in a better position to connect with your prospect or the client. And connecting increases your influence in every situation. And this is going to increase your chances of making the sale. So the process to improve sales with each customer is simply to understand their disc style. Okay? So let's take a look at some customers or prospects. Let's say you're with a prospect or a customer and they seem very fast-paced. They're to the point. They're very decisive. They're competitive. They're individualistic. They have a high ego strength. They're very confident. They're really disinterested in how the job is done. They like change. They don't mind taking risks, and they're focused on results. If you're dealing with somebody like that, that's the personality trait you're seeing. This particular prospect or customer is a D style. D styles are extroverted, but they're very direct. And the higher the D, the more the need for dominance. D's purchase products based on expediency, expert reviews, superior quality, and their ability to get results. With the D, they want a quicker sales process. Don't go into the 80%, skip all that. They just want the 20%. You want to be brief and direct in your approach with a D, because they do not have a lot of time to spend with you. And if you try to spend time with them, they will lose interest and you'll see the glazed over look and they're going to say, hey, that's all great. I got to go. So when you're talking to the D, make sure you have the ducks in a row so you can get in there and make your presentation brief and right to the point. Now, if you have a prospect or customer who's very responsive, very charismatic, very animated, they're spontaneous, they're very optimistic, they enjoy small talk. They like to talk about feelings. They like to talk about, meetings with other people. They emphasize fun. They tell stories. If this is the type of customer you're dealing with or prospect you're dealing with, your prospect is an I style customer. I's are extroverted and they're very friendly. Of course, the higher the I, the more the need for interacting. I's buy products based on impulse, aesthetics, word of mouth, and their ability to give prestige. So So when you're talking with an I and want to approach them, you better make sure you have some time, because they're gonna want to talk some small talk with you. They like to have fun. They're very optimistic. You're going to find that you may have to kind of navigate the conversation, because they can easily be distracted and start chasing rabbits. Eyes base by eyes by based on feelings, and they're very quick with their decisions. They're very impulsive. This fits me to a T. I like to make fast decisions and move on. So that's the I. Now let's take a look at this particular prospect or customer. They're less responsive. They're less expressive, and they emphasize facts and details. They compare data. They seem very reserved, cautious, controlled. You find these people tend to work independently, and they're very, very task oriented and very, very quality oriented. If this sounds like a prospect you're working with, chances are this particular prospect is a C style personality. C's are introverted and analytical. And the higher the C, the more the need for compliance. They buy products based upon proven ability, product warranties, comparisons, information available. So if you're going to go in and talk to a C and you have an I personality, you have to understand they're not really interested in small talk. They're not there to have fun with you. They're there to find out how your product compares to other products, how your service compares to other service. Is there a warranty? What they like testimonials and data. They're big about research. That's your C style. You need to be less expressive. Just focus on facts and details when dealing with a C. They like to compare data, so make sure you bring as much data as you possibly can, because they're going to ask you for it. That's your C style. And now we go to the S style. If your prospect or customer, they're friendly, they're relaxed, they're very agreeable, they're very cooperative, they like working in teams, they're not big on change. They sort of resist change. Change scares them. And they don't like change because they like a world of, just keep things the way they are. I feel much secure here where it is right now. Why do we have to change? Now, they just don't like that. And the higher the S, the more need on security. They're introverted, but they're very cooperative. They buy products based upon practicality, simplicity, and the ability to make the user feel more secure. See, when you approach an S-style personality, you want to be friendly, agreeable. They also ask a lot of questions, so be prepared with answers. They're cooperative. They're not quick to make change. They may resist some change, and they like things in a secure, safe environment. Okay? So in a nutshell, that gives you the 4 distinct personalities and how to sell to those 4 distinct personalities. Now, we all have these personalities within us. There are just some that are more dominant than others. My personality style, I have all 4, but there are 2 that are above the midline. My I, which is way above the midline, and an S. But when I took this report, I realized that when I'm dealing with stressful situations, my S goes way up and my I drops. All of a sudden, I'm concerned about security. So you'll see, this isn't something that puts you in a box and closes the lid. This lets you know that, hey, every personality, everybody has all 4 of these personalities, and every personality is distinctly different. But you have 1, 2, or 3 that are more dominant than others, that come out more consistently than others. And when you take the sales impact report, you're able to find out what are your dominant personality styles. And the report gives you a complete breakdown on how to go about selling to these particular different personalities. So you can connect better.
Gary, what did you say that the dominant is, the fear of the dominant is?
A rejection.
Rejection.
And being taken advantage of. No, dominant is being taken advantage of.
Right. Taking advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So when you understand your buyer's buying style, you're going to be able to close the sale. So the process to improve sales with each prospect or client is simple. Start recognizing their personality and buying style. Are they a D? Are they an I? Are they an S? Are they a C? Then you want to present your product, your service, your solution, and how they want to hear them. I had a situation. I was working with a VP of sales who was a D, and I was an I. And I came into his office just with my I personality, full speed ahead. And I mean, he just got overglazed. I could not connect with him. I don't know. I couldn't understand why. I was explaining everything the way I thought he would be able to hear it, but I didn't take into account his personality is a D style. He doesn't want to hear about all the sizzle and all that stuff. He wants just the bare facts. What's my ROI on providing training to my people? That's the stuff that he wants to hear. So you have to modify your own style to match your customer's buying style. It takes practice. A full report gives you absolutely everything you need to know to be successful in doing this. And once you've taken time to understand your buyer, how they make their buying decisions, you're going to be in a better position to close the sale. So this is my contact information. This was a quick review of the DISC Sales Impact Assessment. It helps you understand other people's personalities and how to morph your personality to better connect with them. Now, if you want to contact me for more information, feel free to text me, call me, send me an email, and I can give you more information about the John Maxwell DISC Sales Impact Assessment Report. And be glad to talk to anybody on a one-on-one about it as well. So with that, I'd like to open up the floor. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, so because we're doing so much in-person meeting people, you don't really get a chance to do that quick little chit chat before you try to set up a meeting. Like some of my meeting setups now are like a one line in an email. Is there a way, a question that could be part of an email like that to set up a meeting that you can kind of feel what you're going to be dealing with? Something that would be a trigger.
Yeah. Well, if they don't answer your email, chances are it's a D.
Right. Well, that's a given. But
if it's a long, lengthy email, you got an I there or an
okay.
S.
But that was why I was asking the question. In other words, is there a way you can sort of figure it out before your foot gets in the door?
Oh. I guess judging how they respond back with your email to your questions would be the best way. If it's short and sweet, then you're dealing with somebody like a D who's very fast paced, or a C who's very analytical. If it's a little bit lengthy and, oh yeah, hey Sharon, thanks for sending an email. Happy New Year to you. I hope you had some great holidays. You got yourself an I there. So
I actually have to remember when I'm sending out an email to write, dear so-and-so, because usually you'll just go right send. In other words, just get back to me.
Something that we do, we do a bunch of marketing automation work, and one of the forms, one of the things that we do is build forms for people. One of the general questions that was put to us as a default question that they use in almost all the forms is, please take a moment and describe yourself. And it's funny the way people do. They'll answer, and from their answer, you'll be able to figure that out in a lot of times. Just say, please describe yourself, with nothing else. And they'll say these trigger words that, that will help you understand which ones to put them in. I actually have a sticky on my desk right over my head when I'm talking to somebody to remind myself to try to figure out who they are. And I do it like a little game as we talk. because it's interesting. It's quick and easy to do it to yourself, but when you're talking, like while Gary was talking, I was just asking James in text. I said, how is our new client Margot? How would you describe her? Because I think she's really strong, but at the same time, she likes to do the chit chat too. But what do you think, James? You're muted. You're muted.
There we are.
There you go.
Yeah, I think she likes to talk, but she also
She also
likes to go
takes
over the
charge.
details. Well, yeah, she wants to get into the details. She's looking at the whole everything that's yeah.
Yeah,
So Gary, is that an IS then?
Hard to say with just that little bit of information, but if
Yeah.
she's someone who likes to go through details, might be more of a C. And then if she's very friendly and spoken, maybe a CS. One thing we do when every client we get has to take a disc sales impact report. So we know what we're working with, and we share ours with them so they know what they're working with. And we also give these people, when they're completed their disc assessment, we give them a worksheet where they can start, you can't go to every customer. Hey, I'm sharing your promotional expert here. Did you take this disc assessment? They're probably going to think you're nuts or something. So we have like a little cheat sheet that we give out. We hand out at the end of the training session, where you can take like a survey and you kind of put a tick mark next to different ways this person is responding. And then you can kind of come up with, there's 9 rows, and then you can come up with a better idea what their personality is.
I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you, and as you're going, and I'm like, okay, the dominant, that's Mark. Influence, that's me, but I'm still kind of a little bit steady. And then you get to the C's, and I'm like, oh, that's my Spencer. He's all C. And then as you're going around talking about it, I'm like, God, I have like a split personality. I'm like all these things, and I know you said that everybody is, and that's true. And this is more about dominant traits, but
right.
I remember the first time we were exposed to this, and at the time our networking group was really very new, and I was very self-conscious and very nervous about people coming to our networking group to participate in something like this, and I was very insecure about it. And so somebody handed us this worksheet to fill out this, and I was no, I'm not doing it. I can't do that. It was like I was so scared, I guess, to admit that I was that I was in a box. And now after 2 or 3 years of doing this, I realize everybody's a little bit of something, but you do tend to move in one direction more than another, I guess, is how you look at it.
And different situations will make those personalities shift a little bit. As I said myself, when it comes to a stressful situation, my S really kicks up high. So it's not like you say, putting in a box and closing the lid.
Right.
I'm definitely a DI, and I started. I'm sorry, Mike. And I definitely started laughing when you said, if you're the guy that walks in the elevator and says hi to everybody, yeah, that's me. And Lorraine will kick me and tell me to shut up.
I'll be the C, like, don't talk, don't look at anything. And he's in there saying, hey, what are y'all doing today? Like, no. I do that in the backyard. We'll be sitting in the backyard, and he'll be like, oh, I'm growing. I'm like, shh, but that's me. But then there are times too when I'm just as excited and doing. So it's a balance. And to be able, like Sharon was saying, how do you figure out how a client is? I think maybe a phone call is maybe a little bit easier way. At least you can hear a person's personality, maybe a little more than email.
You ruin the deal before it starts. If there's can you start it off with, hope, how's your family? And depending on how they answer that question, we'll let you know if they really want to let you know about, their grandkids, or if everybody's good, what do you got? And, that's why I was wondering if there's like quick trigger words, at the beginning.
Detail or bottom line.
Well, I think it's harder on an email or a text. I think we all
Mhm.
tend to be, because we're more
Very
anonymous.
sharp with that.
Yeah, you're anonymous, so you can say things on an email or a text that you probably wouldn't actually think of saying in a live conversation. So I do think you get a lot more personality from talking to a person, either face to
Yeah.
face or on the phone,
It's hard to get that tone of what, the
Right.
email can be, it's hard to figure out where they're coming from.
Well, Gary, you gave, and Mike, go jump in, but Gary, you gave a really good tip that I caught, was the long email versus a short email.
Mhm.
And that was a big tell for me. I play online poker a lot, and I try to pick up little, because when you're playing online, you're watching what they text. I watch how long it takes them to bet and things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And the long and short email is a really good tell. My emails are always too long. I know they are, because go ahead, Mike.
Mike's got his hand up.
Go, speak up. Jump in.
Yeah, Mark writes long emails and I'm a yes and no guy,
Yeah.
but I'm an I, I'm happy, go lucky, right? And my wife's analytical. So I think this would be great before you get married to find out if you're a good fit. Because the analysis by paralysis drives me crazy. I make my decisions quick. I'm like living with an accountant. Everything has to be
Mhm.
dotted and perfect, and it's
Well,
challenging
those
to get
opposites
things
attract,
done.
though,
Yeah.
Michael.
Well,
Funny.
I
It's
shake my head
I
every
was going to
day,
say the
but-
same thing.
Yeah.
Find somebody that's completely on the other side of the chart, and you'll stay married.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
then my
Well-
true question is, obviously, this has been around a long time and it's been very successful. There are some other methods like bank. How does it differ with some? Because there's always, like, I used to use the horoscope, but that's old.
Horoscopes.
Where were you
Yeah.
born? Oh man.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
stopped
kidding
that
with you.
horoscope thing a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
But yeah, disc and bank, how are they different?
well, I'm not familiar with bank. There are, like I said earlier, there's like 1,500 of these things out there.
Okay.
The reason I like disc is when you get the report, it's not an LSAT looking thing. The survey takes 10 to 15 minutes to complete, and you immediately get your assessment back, and it breaks down your personality style. It shows you what your selling strengths are, what your selling challenges are. And the thing with disc is it focuses on a lot of things. We have just a basic disc for personality. We have one for sales. We have one for leaders. We have one for kids getting ready to go to college. I do a lot of that with a high school up in Sparta, New Jersey. They all take it. There's just so many different styles that disc allows. It's definitely got more things for me to offer to my clients. So
Yeah,
that's why I became disc certified.
Yeah,
So-
I send out questionnaires to my clients when they start working with me because I need to know what's in their head, right? So
Mhm.
it would be nice to incorporate, like Mark said, do me a favor, just describe the type of business style you have. And they may not answer it honestly, but when I get those reports back from them, some of them are yes, no, and some of them are really detailed. So you get an idea the type of person you're dealing with. I like to work with people that are a good fit for me, and I'll turn away business if they're not a good fit, to be honest with you. So it's really important. I wish I had a short, would you fill this out before we get started so I know if they're going to be a jerk or not?
Yeah. No, we don't, it's not that easy, but
I know.
we all have, I had, when I worked for a company, we had all types of different customers and clients, and some that were very short and very D-style personality. It would turn some people off in our office because they were so abrupt and they were so to the point. They didn't make any small talk, but yet those people were bringing in the biggest jobs, so it's a great tool to find out how your prospect or client, what they're made up, how their personality is. And then it is your job to begin to understand, okay, if I'm going to go call on a D, I've got to make sure I got all the facts and figures. If I'm going to call on a C, they're going to want to see comparisons and graphs and charts and, you know, cross sections. So you just have to, and if I'm going to go calling an I realize I got to take care of my schedule, because that I can take me all over the place, right? So it's understanding who your customer is, and then the key is morphing your style to better suit that relationship. That's how you're going to connect.
I like
And that's
that.
where the sales
Morphing
starts.
your style. I like that a lot.
What's that, Flavia? I'm
I
sorry.
love that, morphing your style, because
Mhm.
it's so true. I can't really choose what the client's personality is going to be.
Mhm.
But over the last 15 years, we have changed this questionnaire that we send out to clients.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's ones that give us a short answer, and there's ones that really take the time to write a long paragraph, or how long they take you to respond to the questionnaire. I already know this client is going to take me forever to get statements and get data to assist them with what they're trying to accomplish. So
Mhm.
yeah, really great.
Yeah.
One
Thank
thing
you.
I always ask people on a one-on-one or our first call, whether it's a sales call or meeting with somebody from the group, I always say, what do you do for fun? Because that tells a lot as well. Because if you get the guy that says, I work, you can really,
That's an
and then,
uh-oh.
if you get, that one question usually gets people talking or not talking. If they don't talk, you can really cross off a couple of these things right away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Our best customer to date is a guy that's got the personality of wood. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing, Ben? And he's like, great, how are you? And that's it. Had a good holiday. Yep. So yes, no, give me the skinny, tell me the ROI, how much do I need to write you a check?
Mhm.
And I was so taken aback the first couple times we talked. I'm like, this guy doesn't like us. And, but I just, I was just going through this with my sales coach at the time, and really trying to assess his personality. I went back to her and I said, I know this guy's a driver. That's what she called the D, is a driver. And I said, I know this guy's a driver, but I can't get him to smile or laugh or anything. And her immediate response was, stop trying. And that's what
Mhm.
James told me too. And I
You know
did.
what? A year later, we send him an invoice, he sends us a check. Best client in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
No
really good.
personality at all. He's great,
As long as you know how to connect with them, you're going to keep doing
Right.
business with them.
But I think you really got to make a little game out of it when you talk to people. I don't know if everybody does this, but I always have my notebook out and
Mhm.
I'm taking notes when I talk to people. And I try to make it like a little game, because and if you look at my notes, I'm getting more and more consistent on how I take notes on a first time call, because there's a couple of questions that I ask. I don't have it written down as a script, but I've been doing this for so long that I ask pretty much the same questions. And now I'm getting to the point that, when I throw in the, what do you do for fun at the end, that's really starts to help. That really
Oh.
starts to help. So
Yep. Sure.
anyway, I want to say thank you so much, Gary. And
You're welcome.
I definitely want to get together with you. And I'm sorry I've been so crazy the last couple of weeks. I keep saying I want to get together. This week this week coming up, I definitely do. I just been like everybody else, really busy and neglecting the moving forward part. And that's why I said,
And he's got a 3D printer, so hey.
Oh, okay.
What do you expect?
There you go.
Gary, I just wanted to let you know
Yeah.
on that D personality, whatever
Yes.
that small percentage is,
Yeah, 3.
I always put those
Really?
people into like the actuaries, the people that like numbers. And it's just very, very hard sometimes to work with. But
Mhm.
like you said, when you have those numbers in front of you, those are the easiest clients. And a lot of times though, because those could be the biggest clients.
Mhm.
So, sometimes you need a little patience, because this is how they do business. Other
Mhm.
people are impulsive, like going into Publix. Why you think they have those little candy bars at the counter when you're checking out?
Those
Let
are
me
for
just go
me.
grab it.
Me too. I was
And,
just- were you
and
at my
on that-
Publix yesterday? I just did that yesterday. You were spying on me, Eric.
It's a magnet, and that's what it's intended
Mhm.
to be like, but they know their clientele.
Mhm.
Same thing with Target. Why do they put the most common place diagonal. They want you to go through the store. So, again, the more you know about your client, obviously, and, just the last thing, just doing it so many years, a lot of times they segment their clients into A clients, B clients. It's almost the exact same thing. You got the A, B, C, and D. And once you know those type of clients, it's powerful stuff.
It is.
It really is.
Remembering to
definitely
use it is the toughie though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I tell everybody when they get the report and we go through it all, it's about a 2-hour presentation workshop. I say, now, when you get back to your office, don't just file that away in a file drawer and say, okay, check it off your list. That should always be on your desk because you can refer to it when you're calling these people. This guy sounds like a D. This guy sounds like an I. How can I communicate with them? And the report gives you all types of questions and things you should be asking these different types of people. So something you want to keep out in front of you.
I think it's great. I appreciate this very much. I mean, I wish a lot more people would have shown up today, but I got a bunch out of it. So I really do appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I had the opportunity to share it with everyone.
I know. Thank you so much for coming and doing the presentation, and thank you for the short notice. I really appreciate that. We were kind of slack here doing any scheduling during the month of December, so I appreciate you stepping up for sure.
Glad to do it. Really enjoy the group and
very
glad
good.
to do it, and look forward to getting together live next week.
Yes.
Okay, with the 4 people here that are not part of Palm Beach Software, if you will send me a 1-paragraph blurb about your company with a link, I will put it in the next newsletter for you. Okay, so just email me direct, and I'm curious to see how advertising will work off the newsletter. So I'd love to run an ad for you guys and just,
So your market Palm Beach Software.
It goes out to about 12,000 people, 12,000 business owners and C-level executives in South Florida. So send me a blurb. Let me see if I can help you guys out. I'm curious to get feedback on if you get any pings from it, any calls or anything like that, because I'm curious to see how effective my weekly letter is.
Awesome.
So I would love to extend that to you for.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, have a great weekend, everybody.
Take it easy, guys.
Let's go have some lunch.
Great.
All righty. Bye-bye.
See y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See y'all next week at the happy hour.
Yeah.